Good evening, friends. Welcome to another Life History channel. Tonight you're travelling back 3 centuries, back to the winter of 1709. Before we begin this cold journey, do something for me please now. Write your location in comments below. Tell me your current temperature there. Now get comfortable in your bed. Let your body sink deep tonight. Settle into your blankets and pillows. Tonight we're not just reading history, you're going to live it instead. You're going to feel every moment. Imagine this scene in your mind. The year is 1709 in Europe, the coldest winter in 500 years. Outside, the air itself is freezing. Water turns to ice in mid-air. Fields become hard as steel plates. Your only heat source is small. A tiny pile of wood remains. Soon it will run out completely. You don't have a soft blanket. You need armor against the cold, protection from the freezing night ahead. Your stomach is empty and aching. Your chest feels damp and heavy. Sleep isn't rest anymore at all. It's a gamble with your life. Will you wake up in morning? Will you see the sunrise tomorrow? Tonight you won't just learn facts. You'll experience the brutal winter ahead. You'll try to sleep through it. Close your eyes slowly right now. Dim your lights to darkness, please. Let the modern world fade away. We're taking you back 3 centuries to frozen darkness and despair below. Your journey begins right this moment, right here in your warm bed. But soon you'll feel the cold. You're living just before the fury. The winter's full crushing force awaits. The brutal cold hasn't hit yet. The sky above you looks darker, heavier than it should be today. A metal grey colour hangs low. Everyone around you feels it coming. Nature is holding its breath tight. This weight presses on your mind. Preparations aren't just physical tasks now. They're silent bargains with mortality itself. With your own death approaching soon, every morning you wake up cold. First thought in your mind appears, how much wood still remains today? The pile's height becomes your countdown. Your remaining days shown in logs, each piece precious beyond measure now. You lift each log so carefully, questioning yourself with every movement there. Are you wasting precious fuel already? The sounds of moving wood echo. They mirror your rising tension inside, your growing fear of death tonight. Think about the era's harsh context. Famine and disease already at door, knocking and waiting to enter soon. Now this freezing cold also threatens to destroy your fragile balance tonight in just one brutal frozen night. You look at your neighbours closely. Their faces show the same thing. Same worry etched deep in lines. Same exhaustion in their tired eyes. This collective dread from shared uncertainty. A deep weariness settles over everyone. You climb up to check carefully. The roof of your small home. Wind hits your exposed skin hard. Metallic cold cuts through your clothes. Every tile you touch feels frozen. Every crack must be examined closely, by hand with careful, slow attention. One crack that you miss tonight, one ignored detail could be fatal. Could cancel everyone's survival till morning. This detailed check becomes total obsession. Even before sleep your mind circles. Every action suddenly matters greatly now. Nothing remains routine anymore at all. Everything becomes life itself in winter. Food storage also weighs heavy today, on your worried mind as well. Jars of pickles lined up carefully. Hanging dried meats from the rafters, grain sacks sitting on cold floor. These foods won't just fill stomach, They'll provide internal heat through digestion, vital warmth spreading inside your body, essential energy to survive the night. You weigh each portion in mind, planning for worst possible scenarios ahead. This isn't just today's simple hunger, it's managing uncertain spring months ahead. The era's context was brutally harsh. Resources were severely limited back then. No modern safety nets existed then. You alone architect your own fate. You alone responsible for family survival. Animals shivering in barns outside tonight. Frozen fields stretching beyond your view. All of this feeds your fear, slowly but surely growing stronger inside. If animals survive this terrible winter, spring farming becomes possible for you. That's your only hope for future. Every insulation effort for their warmth. It's investing in your own survival. Now you move slowly and carefully toward your bedroom in this winter, in this great freezing winter tonight. This space you're about to enter, not modern comfort at all here, but conscious strategic design instead, carefully. This room is placed very near, the main hearth burning below you, or directly above the fire itself. This positioning allows precious thermal energy to reach your sleeping space tonight with minimum loss along the way. This is learned wisdom and knowledge, applied over many long centuries before. Heat preservation tactics passed down generations. Consider the era's harsh living conditions. Houses were usually one room only, or maybe two rooms at most. Luxury meant conserving heat without dividing, without splitting precious warmth into parts. So bedrooms became the home's core. Room walls must fight the cold, the bone-breaking cold waiting outside tonight, built with thick, heavy lumber beams, built with heavy cold stone blocks inside these thick protective walls today. Natural insulation materials were stuffed tight, compressed straw packed in very tight, animal manure mixed with clay materials. These fillings create a passive zone, a buffer zone against freezing outside, slowing down the cold's invasion tonight, preventing stone and wood from freezing. You touch the walls with hand. You feel the slightly damp weight. It reminds you of the truth. This is your only barrier tonight, between you and blizzard outside now, between life and death in cold. The ceiling above demands your attention. It's kept as low as possible. If loft exists above your head, the sleeping area remains cramped tight. This low ceiling has a purpose. It traps warm air effectively below. Warm air rises up naturally always. This thermal trap keeps heat below. Right where you sleep at night, you're sleeping in a barrel essentially. Under this strategic low ceiling tonight, movement space is restricted and tight, but you feel great security here. Great protection from cold outside walls. Under this protective low roof above, windows are the biggest heat threat, biggest loss of precious warmth tonight, so they're small and few here, placed on the most protected side. Glass was still very expensive then, also fragile and breaks very easily, so windows are covered with alternatives, parchment paper stretched tight across openings, or oiled linen fabric instead sometimes. These coverings let only dim light enter your room during the day, but they block wind completely outside. They keep the cold air outside. This dimness makes the air heavy, makes the room ready for sleep. The air inside your room tonight carries a heavy stagnant smell now. Lack of ventilation causes this problem. A mixture of human breath accumulated, wood smoke from fire below you, and wool smells from your clothing. In the era's context back then, Ventilation meant losing precious heat fast, so it was almost non-existent here. Combined with crowded sleeping conditions tonight, the room's air becomes quite oppressive, but you wait for body relaxation in this heavy, stagnant atmosphere around. Your body will slowly start relaxing, preparing itself for sleep to come. The door is usually thick oak or heavy lumber construction instead today. The bottom and edges are sealed with wool cloth strips tight, or straw-filled bags pressed into gaps. This isn't just a simple room. This is your thermal fortress tonight, your last defense against freezing death in the brutal 1709 winter outside. Every detail works for one purpose, keeping the enemy outside your walls. The enemy's the cold tonight. When you lie down finally tonight, the blanket you pull over yourself, it's not just pile of fabric, it's the greatest thermal engineering marvel of the entire 1709 winter period. You feel safe under this weight. As you slide beneath its heaviness, the secret lies in the filling, animal hairs and feathers inside it. The filling usually consists of wool, rough but dense sheep wool mainly, lighter and more voluminous goose down, or stiff goat hair carefully blended. These materials weren't chosen randomly at all. Each has critical role in warmth. Sheep wool fibers' naturally crimped structure creates countless small air pockets inside. Air is perfect insulator as known, but only when it stays still. This wool traps your body's heat, captures it and holds it tight, cuts off contact with outside cold. This passive shield works constantly now. Goose feathers provide different layer benefits, more delicate but much more voluminous. The three-dimensional branched feather structure includes huge air volume without weight, even when you move in bed. These feathers quickly return to volume, ensuring insulation remains constant all night. In the era's conditions back then, these quilts were enormous family wealth, passed down from generation to generation, every single wool thread and feather. Proof of families' patient accumulated resources. This wasn't like buying modern items. This was vital investment against winter. The quilt's outer fabric equally important, usually thick, tightly woven linen fabric, or rough wool fabric construction instead. This dense weaving acts as seal, prevents precious warm air escaping outside, also blocks outside moisture effectively too, and cold air currents from entering. The heavy, slightly itchy texture touching your skin constantly reminds you tonight of the danger's severity waiting outside. You press quilt edges tightly now, against your neck and shoulders firmly, not allowing smallest air current through. While doing this, you know well, you're locking temperature inside air pockets. Sometimes the quilt's weight oppresses limbs, but this weight gives you assurance. As you drift into sleep gradually, your body's warmth slowly saturates air inside the quilt throughout the night. The temperature under your quilt remains critically higher than frozen room temperature. This works like thermal shield operating, not just blanket keeping you warm. You're moving on fine line between freezing death and restful sleep tonight. This quilt doesn't just keep warm, it's actually protecting your life tonight. Now, as you prepare for sleep, you remove your daytime clothes carefully. But this isn't modern undressing ritual. It's beginning of new clothing architecture. Your nighttime clothing follows conscious philosophy, a layering philosophy against cold. This philosophy focuses on one goal: maximum insulation with minimum material used, the bottom layer touching your skin, usually loose shirt of thin linen chosen for quick drying properties, and its good breathing characteristics too. This layer's main duty is moisture. management of sweat during sleep hours. When you sweat while sleeping tonight, this must absorb moisture quickly away. Moisture clinging to your body causes rapid cooling through evaporation process now, and leads straight to hypothermia risk. In the era's general conditions then, linen or cotton didn't retain heat. Like wool, but hygiene control vital. This layer protects outer layers rarely. Washed from direct skin contact always. Over this thin shirt come layers that provide the actual warmth needed. These mostly consist of rough wool. Wool fiber structure can trap air. It's nature's miracle insulator material working. You add thick, long-sleeved shirts, maybe wool cardigans worn during day, that remained dry throughout your work. This second layer creates thermal envelope, under the quilt trapping body heat. Your feet and legs are crucial. Part of this insulation strategy too. You wear thick knitted wool socks, rising up to your knee level. Sometimes you double the sock layers. Blood circulation is hardest in feet, and frostbite risk is highest there. Head and neck region loses heat. These are where body warmth escapes, so you wear wool sleeping cap, or simple wool hat on head. This simple action dramatically reduces loss, keeps total body temperature more balanced, in the era's context back then. Covering head wasn't just cold protection, also believed to ward off spirits. When you enter bed, you're not just a human being anymore now. You're a walking insulation tower instead. Each layer is learned experience product. As your body warms from inside, air spaces between layers also warm, creating a micro-temperature refuge now. This layering isn't just fighting cold, it's art of using scarce clothing with maximum efficiency possible here tonight. These garments smell heavy and woolly, but this smell promises security warmth. You slowly surrender to sleep within, these necessary layers wrapped around you. The final meal before bed isn't a feast of delicious flavors tonight. It's a vital thermal strategy instead, to survive the freezing night ahead and keep your body's motor running. You consume food with conscious ritual. This meal must be heavy fatty and consist of slowly digested foods. Your plate usually contains thick porridge, nearly solidified oatmeal or barley soup, or dense mixture of boiled legumes. These foods' complex carbohydrates stay long, and high fiber content in stomach, for many hours during the night, in the era's general context then. These starchy, heavy foods provided assurance against famine threatening everyone constantly here. Goal was maximum fullness, minimum quantity. On top of this dense meal, sometimes hard salted cheeses added, or small amount of pork fat. Fat is slowest substance to digest. Fat digestion produces continuous low level metabolic heat keeping you warm inside. From within during coldest critical hours, you feel this fat's heavy sensation. This feeling is your guarantee till morning arrives and you survive tonight. After eating, you especially avoid drinking any cold water into your system. Cold liquid can instantly lower body's core temperature and slow digestion process. Instead, you usually prefer warm drink, spiced beverage believed to heat body. This could be herbal tea brewed, with cinnamon cloves warming spices added, or rarely slightly warmed diluted wine. These warm liquids gently support digestion, without shocking your stomach with cold. This strategic eating ritual gives you not just physical fullness, but also psychological assurance for the night ahead. Waking up hungry was as terrifying as waking up frozen solid dead. This heavy meal guarantees your stomach won't wake you with growling sounds. You chew slowly, considering each bite's Thermal energy contribution to survival tonight. Eating quickly reduces food's potential value, so you consume your meal deliberately. When you enter bed, your stomach feels like small furnace fighting outside. The digestion processes silent humming sound, like motor preserving your internal warmth. You allow sleep to gradually take you with this heavy, satisfied feeling, knowing this slow digestion has undertaken secret protective duty till morning arrives. This meal is one of most critical survival rituals affecting sleep quality. You sit by hearth watching burning wood piece glowing in the darkness. This wood isn't just simple fuel, it's your lifeline in 1709 winter. The wood pile's decrease indicates your remaining survival energy running dangerously low now. Therefore your fire building and managing is vital scientific calculation, not art. Your strategy is avoiding big fast, burning flames at all costs tonight. Bright flames give quick heat burst, but disappear just as quickly, wasting too much precious wood unnecessarily here. Instead, your goal is creating long, low-level and continuous heat source. To achieve this, you prefer compressed, dense and slow-burning wood types. Oak or beech hardwoods contain more energy density than soft pines and can stay as embers much longer through the freezing night ahead. Afternoon you keep fire blazing hot, but toward bedtime you consciously begin the process of dampening it down. You place large logs and previously burned concentrated charcoal pieces inside hearth. These pieces are positioned to slow burning and accumulate heat within themselves. In the era's general conditions then, wood scarcity was threat equal to freezing for many households struggling here, so every single log must be used with maximum efficiency always tonight. Critical step is covering fire strategy with ashes after it becomes embers. After fire reaches ember state, you cover it with thick, tight ash. Layer performing two vital functions here. First, it greatly reduces oxygen contact, with embers dramatically slowing burning rate. Second, these ashes trap internal heat, acting as thermal insulator blanket above. When you lie in bed, you feel thermal contrast around hearth whispering. Something inside still remains warm, glowing. Those embers' red glow reflects dimly from beneath the ash layer covering. This ash covering strategy doesn't just provide small heat source through night, it also saves you from trouble of starting fire from zero tomorrow and time to get first heat. The small ember hidden under ash is your household's hope for morning revival. In the era's context back then, these simple but effective methods formed foundation of survival knowledge passed down. This wasn't just burning wood wastefully, it was managing precious resource carefully. You drift asleep listening to this silent, slow burning fire's gentle, crackling sounds becoming security's melody tonight. Because you know this wisely used, wood will help your family survive the 1709 winter's brutal cold ahead. These strategic embers become your last hope light seen in this black winter surrounding you on all sides. The hearth's continued burning brings accompanying smell into the night's silence now. This heavy wood-scented smoke permeates. Even perfect chimney system in 1709 cannot prevent some smoke from seeping into living space from primitive design. Your room's air is filled with this light, faint haze hanging heavily. This smoke doesn't just slightly irritate your eyes or make air heavier. It's silent chemical agent deeply affecting your sleep cycle throughout the night. Carbon monoxide gas in smoke is. Invisible and odorless threat lurking here. This gas binds to red blood. Cells carrying oxygen in your bloodstream, slowly blocking your body's oxygen intake. In the era's general conditions then, smoke poisoning was known and frequent. Death cause especially during winter months. This situation can paradoxically help you. Fall asleep faster than normal tonight. The light dizziness and drowsiness caused by carbon monoxide combines with fatigue, pushing you rapidly toward unconsciousness here. But this sleep is far from deep and restful quality sleep needed, because your body can't get enough oxygen, your brain can't fully rest. You're sleeping on the surface only. Your sleep is interrupted and poor quality throughout the long night ahead. Your nose constantly perceives this light, wood-scented faintness in the air. This smell serves dual-purpose acting, as assurance hearth still burns warmly, while also being constant warning signal. Sometimes when wind intensifies outside suddenly, chimney draft is disrupted and heavier. Smoke suddenly pours into the room. This situation wakes you with brief, coughing fit as instinctive control mechanism. You smell the air check smokes. Density then surrender again to sleeps, weight pulling you back down heavily. In the era's context back then, people didn't fully understand smoke's danger, but knew sleeping in poorly ventilated homes caused morning headaches and sluggishness. So sometimes you deliberately leave tiny, gap-in house even though cold. This is vital risk balance calculation. Allowing cold air current inside reduces poisoning risk significantly for your family. This constant light smoke smell becomes inseparable part of your winter sleep. Heavy atmosphere surrounding the room hinders your rest even though survival necessity. You float in fragile sleep under this smoke's silent surveillance all night. This sleep isn't complete rest at all, but rather keeping consciousness half shut until morning arrives safely here. Cold makes sleeping alone a luxury. You in this freezing 1709 night are crowded in one small room with everyone from your household tonight, your spouse, children, and maybe elderly relatives all gathered together here tightly. This necessity isn't privacy loss issue. It's conscious and vital energy strategy. This collective sleeping means primarily heat, sharing among all bodies pressed together. Human body is small but constant. Thermal energy source burning steadily always. Each adult's body radiates approximately 100 watts of heat 24 hours. Everyone sleeping as close as possible raises the room's general temperature critically, several degrees higher than freezing outside. This collective warmth creates cheapest and most reliable insulation layer between you and freezing point air outside waiting. In the era's general conditions then, most houses were built poorly for heat retention and thermal efficiency here. So human warmth was natural engineering, solution compensating for architecture's inadequacy tonight. You sleep in this cramped arrangement, hearing person beside you breathing softly, their slight snoring or small movements made during sleep constantly audible here. This closeness provides security and solidarity, feeling while also causing constant interruptions. A child's crying or someone's coughing all have potential to disturb entire rooms' sleep at any moment tonight. Your sleep is no longer individual rest, but rather collective action dependent on household's rhythm and everyone's cooperation. This collective sleeping doesn't just provide physical warmth, but also creates psychological shield protecting everyone gathered here together. In that dark, freezing night when wolf sounds are heard outside, not being alone alleviates fear and helplessness. feeling each other's presence creates collective assurance for all family members tonight. Sometimes when beds aren't sufficient, some household members must sleep on straw, piles on floor or benches near, the hearth's warmth emanating from fire. Being close to ground means being close to coldest air layer here, so these people must be covered with extra layers or thickest blankets. You keep the oldest and youngest in highest beds and farthest from cold walls touching outside air directly. This is natural protection hierarchy system. For you, this collective sleeping is integration act with profound meaning tonight. Everyone's body heat creates common thermal, blanket covering all gathered here safely, and tonight this human warmth becomes your insurance against freezing death outside. Slowly closing your eyes, you hear silent breathing sounds surrounding you completely, whispering that you're not alone in survival battle waging through this night. In this low, dense and warm atmosphere, sleep becomes collective achievement shared by all family members huddled together. When you slip under your quilt, your sleeping position isn't about seeking comfort but rather instinctive survival posture. Your body shapes itself not by conscious decision but by defense mechanism. Against the cold waiting outside walls, your first and most used position is that tight curling resembling fetus, arms and legs pulled tightly toward stomach cavity as much as possible. This position's thermal purpose is twofold. First, it minimizes your body's total surface area exposed to cold air. Less surface area touching air means less heat loss from your body in the era's general conditions then. This shrinking action was primitive way of conserving energy against nature's harshest conditions threatening to freeze you solid. Second, this position focuses on protecting your vital organs from cold's attack. Your belly region, groin and chest are your body's warmest core areas. By pulling limbs inward, you try preserving this precious core warmth longest. Your face is also buried as much as possible within quilt's protection. This doesn't just keep you warm, it also traps moisture from breath inside quilt, creating slightly humid, warm microclimate surrounding your head protectively tonight. In this tight posture, you try remaining motionless as much as possible. Every movement risks pushing warm air out from under quilt, inviting cold air inside to replace it quickly. So throughout sleep, you're forced to make minimum position changes possible here. Heavy layered quilt's weight underneath this immobility sometimes causes slight numbness feeling, but this condition is price of staying alive through the freezing night. If you're sharing bed with household member, your position becomes even more strategic for maximum warmth retention tonight. Sleeping back to back or spoon position combines two bodies' warmth, creating common back support for both sleepers. This is especially vital when your back is closest to wall, touching outside cold air directly through stone, because walls are room's coldest surfaces in the era's context back then. These positions weren't just intimacy, but necessary cooperation for survival's sake tonight. When your feet feel cold, you quickly pull them towards stomach or groin area for additional warmth protection. Feet are body's easiest parts to freeze and most vulnerable to heat loss constantly throughout the long night. Sometimes you squeeze wool pillow or folded thick fabric between your legs. This action provides additional insulation layer between touching surfaces while preventing blood circulation from being completely cut off. You lie in this defensive posture, feeling every muscle silently working to preserve warmth for survival through night. Sleep isn't relaxation act, but rather watch state where instinctive battle continues. This physical position becomes your most important thermal armor, enabling you to survive that freezing night safely tonight. Your bedroom in 1709 winter is that final thin line between you and the freezing air outside waiting. This line's weakest point's a window, and door gaps everywhere around you, every single air current seeping through. These small cracks carries potential to steal vital warmth from inside room. This is deadly threat to survival. So insulation methods you applied before winter came require meticulousness and creativity. Your window, if you have one, is usually covered with small, inadequate glass pieces held together poorly here. Glass edges and joining points are main sources of air leakage constantly. To plug these gaps you use paste consistency substances like dough mixed with animal fat, creating flexible seal. This mixture is pressed firmly into gaps, completely stopping air seepage effectively. In the era's general conditions then, glass was expensive and very fragile, so most windows were covered with parchment paper or oiled linen instead. Oiled linen lets some light through, while absolutely cutting wind from outside, creating flexible barrier that works well. Over this first barrier you add second insulation layer for extra protection. You hang thick wool blankets or heavy rugs over windows' inner side. These fabrics aren't just visible barrier, they also trap air and absorb cold radiation emanating from window surface, slowing its spread into room's interior. Compressed straw or dry grass placed in window gap provides multi-layered insulation. Doors are equally risky for heat, lost through gaps underneath and around. Doors' surroundings and bottom gaps tend to create constant air current flow. To plug doors' bottom gap, you use most effective and common method: thick wool strips or cloth pieces cut from old worn-out garments, or small bags filled with compressed straw are stuffed under door tightly. These primitive but effective insulation materials create silent barrier between rooms inside and hostile climate waiting just outside. In the era's context back then, these natural or waste materials were human ingenuity's most important and cheapest weapons against the freezing cold tonight. For larger cracks around door edges, thin wooden slats or fabric strips are used for sealing them shut. This keeps rooms air heavy and stable, preventing warmth from escaping outside. You lie in bed hearing winter, winds howling outside, but knowing it can't seep inside to harm you. This stuffiness makes room's air oppressive, but also gives you safe nest, feeling that's comforting and reassuring tonight. This thick silence is concrete proof you've separated from outside world's sharp threat waiting just beyond these walls. Even in night's coldest hours, these simple but vital measures keep rooms temperature several degrees higher than outside. These few degrees are the fine line between comfortable sleep and freezing, death threatening you and your family. This insulation act isn't just work, it's worship ritual of self-preservation. Before entering bed's cold texture, you deploy strategic action plan immediately now. Your goal is eliminating sheet's initial shocking coldness as much as possible. Using your own body heat effectively, entering cold bed makes your body waste unnecessary energy before rest begins. This energy in 1709 winter isn't luxury that can be wasted foolishly. So immediately before bed you engage in brief and intense physical activity. This could be simple exercise routine, walking rapidly in place or swinging arms and legs vigorously for minutes, or jumping lightly near hearth's warmth. Sometimes you deliberately save days last. Heavy tasks like carrying several logs from woodpile outside into house now. These activities raise heart rate high, pushing blood rapidly into circulation, warming your body's outer layers effectively tonight, in the era's general context then. This warming action wasn't just for comfort, but to create warmth energy, to carry into bed with you. You know this burning sensation in muscles is internal warmth building up. Immediately after physical activity, you move to hearth or fireplace's warm side. You hold your hands and feet to fire's now dying embers last. Redness radiating, faint warmth still remaining. This rapidly raises temperature of your body's extremities, hands and feet quickly. These areas have hardest circulation and freeze quickest, disrupting whole body's thermal balance if they get too cold. This brief warmth boost is critical. Energy injection waiting to be locked under quilt's protective layers tonight safely. You also use internal warming techniques. Heavy fatty final meal mentioned in eating rituals has already started your body's internal motor running steadily now. Additionally, warm spice liquid drunk just before bed, herbal tea or lightly warmed wine spreads through digestive canal, raising your internal temperature from within. This drink gently dilates blood vessels, increasing blood flow toward body's surface, providing temporary relief and warmth spreading. When you enter bed, the sheets. Initial coldness makes you gasp sharply, but warmth radiating from your body quickly suppresses this cold shock wave. This accumulated warmth energy is instantly trapped by quilt's wool and feather, layers surrounding you protectively tonight now. You've successfully completed this active warming process and can now focus on maintaining your body's thermal balance carefully. This action is key to quick, deep sleep transition you desperately need, because your body can focus on resting instead of wasting energy warming cold bed from scratch unnecessarily tonight. This preparation is your first step to safely surviving this harsh winter night that threatens your very existence. Your sleep this winter night isn't uninterrupted rest, but rather strategic watch, divided by deliberate intervals throughout night. Falling into deep sleep carries more risk than luxury for you tonight as your body enters deep sleep. NREM stage metabolism rate naturally drops, and your body's internal temperature also begins slowly decreasing below safe levels. This especially when outside areas extremely cold brings hypothermia and freezing, risk dangerously close to your body, so your subconscious and body's primitive survival mechanisms force you to wake frequently throughout the long night ahead. These awakenings function like alarm clock, but make no sound at all. Just light shiver or brief restlessness pulls you back to sleep's edge. In the era's general conditions then, freezing to death or losing limbs, or silently entering hypothermia were common. Winter dangers everyone feared constantly here. These awakenings are natural defense developed against this insidious threat to life. During these awakenings, you first check your fingertips and feet immediately now, trying to understand if they're too cold or completely numb already tonight. If coldness feels sharp and disturbing, you immediately take action to warm. You change positions slightly in bed, rubbing arms and legs gently under, quilt to stimulate blood flow again. During these waking moments, you also perform environmental checks for safety always. You sense whether hearth's embers still radiate warmth into the cold room. You feel where the room's general temperature remains tolerable or has dropped dangerously. If you have child or elderly relative, you take very brief moment to check they're sleeping safely and warmly beside you under shared quilt. This interrupted sleep doesn't completely rest you, but it keeps you alive. These awakenings happening several times per night keep metabolism rates slightly elevated throughout your sleep cycle, preventing body from shutting down completely in cold. You return to bed taking several deep breaths after each brief waking. This is primitive way of giving body renewed oxygen and energy boost. In the era's context back then, people accepted this interrupted sleep as natural rhythm during winter months here. Waking in night's middle was also time used for praying briefly or checking fire or moment of thought. But this winter, these awakenings have single purpose above all others tonight. Verifying your thermal security remains intact. Your fragmented sleep is proof of body's negotiation with the bitter cold. Your body chooses not to compromise security even in environment where deep rest would be too risky tonight. You surrender again to sleep's weight after each mandatory awakening cycle repeats until morning arrives and you survive. Your cheapest, most abundant and surprisingly effective insulation materials in 1709 winter are right outside your house, provided by nature itself, snow and ice. These elements aren't just landscape beauty, they're fundamental building blocks of your survival architecture against freezing death tonight. Snow's insulation power lies hidden in its unique physical structure when formed. When snowflakes fall to ground, they accumulate, leaving numerous tiny air pockets trapped between the individual crystals. This trapped air makes snow perfect insulator because airflow is blocked and heat transfer is greatly slowed. In the era's general conditions then, without modern insulation materials, you had to work in harmony with nature. You learned this lesson very well. Thick snow blanket around your house isn't just random accumulation at all. You deliberately pile more snow where wind drifts it or where walls touch coldest outside air most directly, especially on house's north-facing side and below windows' bottom edges. You pack snow, creating additional protective shield. This white blanket prevents walls, stone or timber material from freezing directly and significantly reduces severity of cold seeping inside through solid walls tonight. Ice serves different purpose than snow. Ice isn't insulator like snow, but it acts as hard, impermeable barrier, completely blocking airflow through gaps. You place ice blocks or hardened snow-ice mixture in especially large cracks at door thresholds or below window frames where gaps are widest. This cold but dense barrier prevents warm air from inside escaping outward and seals outside seepage completely tonight. This natural insulation process is part of your daily routine every day. After each snowfall, you check around house, reinforcing insulation layers that weakened. This action isn't just physical task, it's cooperation with nature's own power. Deep silence you hear in bed partly comes from outside snow absorbing sound waves, completely muffling everything outside. This acoustic insulation gives you security and peace of mind tonight here. In night's coldest moments, this ice and snow architecture keeps inside air at tolerable level. You can survive. This unlimited and free insulation material is your and family's greatest silent helper enabling survival through 1709 winter, you drift to sleep protected within this white shelter created by nature's own power, shielding you from death. Night's coldest and longest moments finally end, and you wake from the interrupted sleep-facing first painful task waiting, putting on your frozen shoes now. This action is sharp, cold shock that instantly cuts through sleep's lingering haze, pulling you to full alertness. Shoes were left in coldest corner, farthest from hearth to save precious fuel for more important warming needs. Night's freezing cold seeped into shoes, turning even slight moisture from your breath and sweat into solid ice. When you touch them, the hardness and weight you feel shows they're no longer leather or fabric, but frozen molds shaped like footwear only. Putting them on isn't just sliding feet into stiff, inflexible material now. It's experiencing instant, sharp, cold shock. Your feet maintained warmth with difficulty, under quilt all night now rapidly. Transfer that precious heat to icy, shell surrounding them like prison walls. This shock isn't just physical pain, it also suddenly elevates your metabolism, yanking you rapidly from sleep's lingering comfort into harsh reality of dawn. In the era's general conditions then, shoes were expensive and hard obtained. They were most important tools protecting your feet and health in outside world, so each morning you approach them with great care and respect. To soften this shock you apply primitive but effective ritual before wearing. You don't put shoes on immediately. First you slowly move them closer to hearth's edge where dying embers still glow with faint remaining warmth, exposing them to this gentle heat. For a few minutes doesn't completely melt, ice frozen inside shoes' interior completely, but it takes away that initial sharpness, making leather slightly more flexible. When you finally wear shoes, the tightness around toes and icy texture is an uncomfortable reminder of what awaits. After walking a while, your body's warming effort begins taking effect gradually now. Ice inside your feet slowly begins melting and thawing, becoming liquid water. But this leaves feet damp and cold, which means greater freezing risk. For next night, when cycle repeats, this morning action instantly cuts through sleep's afterglow, putting you in battle mode for day's challenges ahead now. This is your first small victory, or first small pain before days. Trials truly begin for you today. This action shows you concretely how merciless outside winter truly is, and how little comfort this winter grants. Your body struggling to stay alive. This harsh frozen contact is inseparable, part of your 1709 winter's daily beginning ritual you cannot avoid ever. In those critical moments before bed, you place warming pan between beds, sheets providing greatest luxury of winter. This object isn't just simple tool, it's intelligent solution where metallurgy and physics serve you against freezing death. Warming pan is usually long-handled, hinged device with tightly closing lid, circular metal container holding heat inside. Metal choice is vital to pans. Thermal performance throughout the long night. Most commonly heavy cast iron or more expensive shiny brass metal used. In the era's general conditions then, these metals have high heat capacity and good thermal conductivity for warming. Pan made from cast iron explains its ability to retain heat long. Cast iron absorbs heat very slowly, but once heated it releases this, energy slowly and steadily back outward. This characteristic lets pan maintain temperature, under quilt at certain level all, night long without cooling too fast. Brass heats faster than iron and releases heat more quickly to surroundings. This makes it preferred choice for those wanting instant intense warmth immediately. Usage ritual requires great care always. Hot coals from embers hidden under. Hearth's ash are carefully placed inside. Pan using tongs with deliberate movements. Lid must be closed tightly always. This doesn't just prevent coals from burning bedding, causing dangerous fire tonight. It also reduces inside heat's air, contact letting it preserve longer duration. You slide this warm pan into bed starting from where feet will, rest moving it slowly throughout sheets. This movement quickly dislodges cold air, trapped under sheets and quilt layers, instantly warms bed's air layer and helps moisture evaporate from damp fabric. When you enter bed, you don't experience that initial cold shock wave. After getting into bed, you usually place pan right beside your feet or near your lower back area. This focused heat source targets your body's coldest parts, warming them directly. After falling asleep, pan's heat slowly decreases, but initial warmth shield it. Created speeds your transition to deep sleep state you desperately need tonight. In the era's context back then, this metallurgical miracle was small victory, one against cold sheets significantly shortening time needed to fall asleep peacefully. This warm, smooth metal object isn't just heater, but also symbol of security and hope for surviving night. You feel embers silently radiating heat, forgetting 1709 winter's harshness, surrendering to peaceful sleep embracing you gently now. In middle of night feeling toilet. Need means not just discomfort, but disaster summons threatening your survival tonight. Contacting outside's freezing air means risking loss of all warmth your body struggled to maintain through long hours. So in that 1709 winter you develop conscious and mandatory holding practice. This ritual begins already at dinner. After evening meal you severely restrict liquid intake for remaining night hours. You consume dry and dense foods, as much as possible minimizing water. Tea or soup consumption to absolute minimum necessary for survival only tonight. Goal is keeping bladder as unoccupied as possible throughout all sleep hours. Before entering bed you try completely emptying your bladder one final time. This is first and most critical step to surviving night without incident. In the era's general conditions then, toilets or chamber pots, if they existed, were usually outside house or in poorly insulated cold area nearby. Going outside even for a few minutes would completely destroy your body's thermal shield built up through evening hours. When returning to bed, your body would need to restart entire warming cycle from beginning and rebuild warm. Microclimate under quilt taking precious time. This meant excessive energy waste and major loss in sleep quality tonight. You lie in bed beginning to feel slight discomfort or fullness sensation. This is silent negotiation between your instinctive survival mechanism and body's natural need demanding relief from mounting pressure. This discomfort seems very small compared to fear of going outside now. This mandatory holding practice satisfied vital necessity while causing long-term health problems that nobody could avoid then. Urinary infections and kidney troubles became much more common during these winter months when holding became daily necessity. Your body already under great stress, fighting cold didn't need this additional burden added to existing problems now, but your priority is immediate survival. Illnesses could be dealt with in spring when weather improved slightly again. Freezing was the immediate and certain threat. You lie in bed trying to regulate breathing and focus mind elsewhere. This is internal struggle where you're constantly negotiating with your body's signals. Sometimes this needs intensity pulls you back to sleep's lightest layer again. This small struggle becomes silent difficult, part of your sleep cycle tonight. But when morning finally arrives, and you leave quilt's warmth to finally experience that relief it gives you, definite proof you survived one more day in this brutal winter alive. This painful holding action is small, but vital price you pay to survive this dark winter threatening you. Your and the household's gathering in single, small room to sleep together creates vital heat exchange against 1709 winters. Freezing cold threatening everyone huddled here. But this closeness brings silent and insidious threat condensation and a moisture problem. Each breath exchange releases warm and humid air molecules into rooms already heavy and stagnant atmosphere surrounding you. This high humidity air when hitting rooms' coldest surfaces, window edges, walls, facing outside an especially uninsulated ceiling. Areas rapidly condenses, turning into liquid. Water dripping down the cold surfaces slowly. When you touch walls, the slight dampness or faint moisture you feel isn't just uncomfortable, it's threatening your thermal security in dangerous ways tonight. In the era's general conditions then, this moisture-reduced insulation materials straw, clay or rough fabric effectiveness significantly. Wet insulation materials can't trap air, as well as dry ones can, and accelerate heat loss, making you colder, increasing risk of waking frozen. This moisture problem seeps into bed. Sheets and quilt edges near walls feel slightly dampened to your touch. Moisture from microclimate created by breathing. Inside quilt is pushed toward quilt's outer layers where it condenses there. You sleep in this heavy, humid atmosphere throughout the long night ahead. Sometimes you feel moist air current seeping toward your head from under, quilt's edge making breathing feel heavy. In the era's context back then, this moisture also caused mold and fungus growth, increasing respiratory illnesses significantly. You and family sleeping enclosed. Humid environment meant chronic coughing and chest heaviness were common winter problems. This moisture doesn't just ruin comfort, it also threatens your health in long term as winter continues on. To fight this hidden enemy, you can do very little effectively here. During daytime you try keeping hearths, fire as dry as possible, and when weather softens slightly you briefly crack door open, allowing quick ventilation, and at night allowing air exchange. Means taking great risk with warmth. You accept this humid reality and sleep despite it pressing down heavily. Under quilt's weight you feel skin, remaining slightly damp all night long. This is price of survival here. Shelter you created against cold is now being slowly eroded by moisture. Coming from inside your own bodies, you sleep surrounded by this insidious enemy hoping to emerge dry when morning finally arrives, ending this trial. Day's exhaustion and that 1709 winters Sharp breaths, prolonged exposure bring physical pains, making falling asleep very difficult. When you lie in bed, your body's every single muscle and every joint begins demanding accounting for days. Struggles endured throughout harsh working hours, especially in your hands, feet, and knees. You feel sharp throbbing pains. These pains don't just come from stiffened muscles, but also from cold, constricted blood vessels causing blood circulation to slow down significantly throughout body. Your body directs blood to core to keep vital organs warm, so extremities receive less blood and freeze, more causing numbness followed by aching in the ear as general conditions then. These pains were often interpreted as rheumatism or cold sickness affecting everyone, but most often these were pre-freezing stages or joint inflammation symptoms. When entering bed, quilt's initial warmth moment relieves these pains somewhat briefly, but as you remain motionless and body begins cooling, pains strengthen again, reminding you forcefully of their presence. Even in sleep's lightest threshold, a sudden stabbing pain in toe or wrist yanks you rapidly back to wakefulness, pulling you from rest's edge. To cope with this pain, you take instinctive actions to find relief. Under quilt, you rapidly and firmly rub your aching limbs vigorously now. This rubbing action tries reactivating local blood circulation again and loosening tight muscles cramping from cold and exhaustion. Sometimes you press aching joints against your own body heat to warm, then placing them against belly cavity or under armpit for warmth transfer. This provides temporary comfort more than actual pain relief from the aching. This constant physical discomfort lengthens your time needed to fall asleep tonight. Your mind should normally release days, exhaustion and focus on resting peacefully, but now it must struggle against pain signals body keeps sending relentlessly. Sleep transforms from escape from physical pain into exam patiently awaited for. Pain's relief through unconsciousness finally coming. During these painful, wakeful moments, your consciousness experiences winter's mercilessness most concretely. This isn't just discomfort bothering you. It's physical price survival imposes on your struggling body fighting to survive. Under quilt, you battle these throbbing and burning pains, hoping each passing moment brings sleep's weight to finally suppress these pains, pressing down heavily. This pain is part of your winter watch and will silently remain with you until morning finally arrives. You in that 1709 winter's deep, dark atmosphere drifting towards sleep find. Your dreams affected by era's harsh reality surrounding you every single day. Folk belief widely held was that winter dreams were more intense, more realistic, and often contained prophetic visions. Winter was seen as time when nature slept and veil between worlds thinned, allowing glimpses of future events. These beliefs' foundation partly rested on physical realities affecting your dreaming mind. Heavy, smoky air you breathe in, room especially high carbon monoxide levels, cause your dreams to become stranger, more vivid and sometimes more frightening. Additionally, food scarcities resulting mild nutritional deficiencies or cold-induced slight fevers increase your brain's activity during sleep. You in dreams frequently see two opposite themes appearing repeatedly throughout nights. First is abundance theme appearing often. In your dreams you smell warm, fresh bread's aroma, see abundant meat, feast tables or golden harvest filled, Fields gleaming under bright summer sun, this is your subconscious mind's psychological defense mechanism against current famine and hunger reality pressing down on you. In the era's general conditions then, these abundance dreams were usually interpreted as good harvest season's sign or winter's end approaching bringing hope soon. These dreams were belief-feeding patience and hope-keeping spirits alive tonight. Second is death and freezing theme. In more frightening dreams you feel alone in middle of frozen fields. You feel your body growing heavier, unable to move at all anymore. These dreams reflect your existential fear of freezing risk you face nightly. When your body approaches hypothermia, your brain processes this as danger signals, and this situation reflects in dreams as frozen paralysis or suffocation feelings. In the era's context back then, dreams weren't just individual experiences, but also divine messages or future news, believed to come from higher powers. Symbols you saw in dreams were told to family elders upon waking, and carefully interpreted according to tradition. For example, dreaming of extinguished hearth could be perceived as great disaster, or family losses harbinger coming soon. When you wake from sleep, you try emerging from dreams' lingering effect. That warm meal or frozen landscapes. Reality distinction takes few moments processing. Room's dim, smoky light quickly pulls you back to harsh reality waiting. These dreams are proof of psychological burden this winter imposes on you. Your sleep becomes theatre stage where this cold reality is processed, where fear and hope intermingle, creating visions. These intense dreams are extension of mental struggle you experience in this dark winter threatening your very existence. You in 1709 winter sleeping in single small cramped room with household, attempting collective heat sharing to survive, while noble class sleeps incompletely. Different thermal world than yours tonight. Difference between you isn't just luxury, but sharp chasm between heat science and survival assurance separating social classes. Your shelter has low cramped ceiling, rough timber and clay insulation filling, walls while nobles' castles or stone. Mansions are products of centuries of architectural accumulation and refined building knowledge. Their bedrooms are usually located in houses' most protected inner core sections, built with very thick stone walls. These walls, due to their massive structure, cool down extremely slowly overnight, thus trapping heat accumulated during day inside throughout the long night ahead. In the era's general conditions then, thick stone architecture was wealth's and thermal superiority's most concrete indicator visible. Nobles' sleeping spaces opposite your single hearth have multiple fireplaces or large, ceramic-covered stoves providing constant warmth. These heating sources don't just increase heat but also radiate warmth from multiple points, creating more homogeneous warm environment throughout entire sleeping chamber tonight. Your room has a moisture and smoke problems while their fireplaces with better designed chimneys provide cleaner and drier air quality for breathing all night. Their beds also completely different experience. Your quilt consists of rough wool and heavy linen, while their beds have silk and velvet coverings, finest quality goose down or specially processed wool filling providing superior insulation warmth. These light and voluminous fillings provide much more effective insulation without weight. offering maximum warmth with minimal pressure. Moreover, nobles cover bedroom floor with imported thick carpets from distant lands. These carpets cut cold radiating from floor, creating additional insulation layer beneath. Even more importantly, nobles had privacy. Luxury you completely lack in winter. You sleep collectively by necessity while nobles usually sleep in large curtained beds alone or with spouse only. These curtained beds, despite room's spaciousness, create small isolated warmth area around. Bed almost like room within room. This sharp thermal contrast can create silent anger in your mind tonight, but also fuels your survival determination. You fight nature directly while there, protected behind artificial thermal barrier provided by their wealth and social status. For you, every night is survival. Battle while for them it's comfortable. Rest period in warm, secure environment. This situation shows heating power was that era's clearest class division marker. Your 1709 winter sleep arrangements companions. Sharing your bed and quilt aren't just household members gathered here tonight. Sometimes cat or small dog friend curls beside you, becoming your organic heat. Pillow serving vital thermal function here. This isn't just affection or friendship based action, but vital thermal necessity. Animals generally have higher metabolism rate than humans do, producing more heat. This means they constantly and efficiently radiate heat energy, warming surrounding air. Small cat's or dog's body provides small but stable heat boost too. Air trapped inside quilt's warm layers. In the era's general conditions then, these animals weren't kept just for mouse and pest control purposes only, but also as additional heat source. During winter, having vital importance here, their body warmth gives you additional advantage in battle against outside cold. You feel animals' light breathing rhythm and soft fur's contact against skin, especially when animal curls against coldest areas like your feet or back. It acts as natural heater, supporting blood circulation in that cold region. This organic warmth enriches air trapped inside quilt even more, helping reduce freezing risk throughout the long night. Animals' presence also provides psychological comfort in those dark, freezing nights. It offers silent companionship, reducing loneliness feeling, and outside world's eeriness pressing down. Their regular breathing rhythm becomes background sound, helping you calm down and drift into sleep more easily tonight. But this closeness brings risks too. Fleas, lice, or contagious diseases animals may carry spread rapidly in crowded, airless sleeping environment you share together. So accepting animals into bed requires constant balance between thermal gain and hygiene risk management every single night. You try establishing this balance instinctively. Still under quilt, you're an animal. Friend's body heat mingles and combines. This soft, stirring warmth gives you security and peace feeling tonight here. Winter's imposed necessity pushes you into nature's most basic cooperation for survival. You trust in your animal's survival power, and this shared warmth is small but vital miracle enabling you to survive 1709 winter's brutal conditions. That warming friend is your cheapest, most effective thermal helper accompanying you. Night's freezing darkness finally ends, and you emerge from interrupted sleep facing cold reality's first confrontation ahead now. Water access becomes critical morning challenge. In that 1709 winter, water freezing isn't just inconvenience, but hygiene and survival problem threatening your household today. Day begins with ice-breaking ritual. Water containers, buckets inside house even, well or water source outside are covered with thick hard ice layer. This is physical labor requiring strength and patience from your tired body with heavy metal tool or hard. Wood piece you carefully strike ices, weakest point breaking through frozen surface. Ice's cracking sound creates dull echo, emphasizing morning's sharp coldness surrounding everything. Breaking through this ice layer doesn't just let you reach water beneath, but also makes melting process much easier and faster by hearth fire. Large ice chunks versus small broken pieces melt much more quickly when placed near hearth's remaining warm embers. In the era's general conditions then, water freezing wasn't just inconvenience but vital obstacle overcome daily for survival, all day providing water for drinking. Cooking and cleaning becomes repeatedly exhausting, task demanding constant attention and effort. You carefully collect broken ice pieces, placing them on hearth's warmest edge, but not touching fire directly there. This melting routine affects room's interior, atmosphere in noticeable ways throughout day. Water vapor from melting ice slightly increases moisture levels in room's air. This relieves dryness caused throat and nose problems during nighttime, making air less dry and more tolerable now. This slight moisture also increases your thermal comfort, feeling marginally warmer inside. This process consumes time and energy, making this one of winter's biggest challenges you face every single day. While melting water you must use, hearth's precious fuel wastefully it seems, so you know every single drop of water is incredibly valuable resource. This reminds you constantly to appreciate naturally flowing water sources in summer. This ice-breaking and melting ritual in your daily routine isn't just task but symbolic action representing struggle between outside nature's harshness and inside civilization's persistence against brutal elements. You watch these melting ice pieces, seeing winter slowly yielding to your determined efforts bit by bit daily. Every single melted water drop means survival and hope's sign for you. This harsh but necessary beginning pulls you from sleep's lingering haze-making. You ready for day's challenges ahead. In that 1709 winter you're waking and getting out of bed timing isn't determined by sunrise or modern clocks showing specific time of day. Decision is made completely based on inside heat level, your tolerance limit, and strategic calculations regarding vital resource management for survival through winter months. Your bed under that precious quilt is last warm shelter throughout freezing night, keeping you barely alive tonight. Staying in this shelter longer means your body's thermal energy is conserved, better and hearth's precious wood burned, less saving fuel for future nights, so the more severe outside cold becomes, the longer your sleep duration is forced to extend beyond normal. In the era's general conditions then, winter daylight hours were quite short, but waking early from bed meant unnecessary energy waste and excessive cold, exposure risking hypothermia or worse death. Every single movement, every exit outside represents expenditure from your limited energy budget for the entire day ahead. You lie in light wakefulness, feeling room's surrounding temperature through your senses. Your body stunningly informs you how much longer the bed's microclimate can sustain you before you must rise When room's temperature drops below your tolerance threshold, or when hearth's embers have completely died out and can't be revived anymore, only then do you reluctantly make decision to leave. Sometimes decision is guided by instinctive calculation based on day's needs ahead. If vital task must be done today, like drawing water from frozen well or feeding animals in barn, you time your waking to minimize time spent in cold calculating carefully. Thus you spend day's coldest hours in sleeps and quilts warmth, deferring most critical tasks until sun's first rays begin warming air slightly outside. This delayed waking ritual is your way of adapting to winter's cruel cycle imposed on your daily life. Extra time spent in bed isn't laziness, but rather energy conservation action. You wait under quilt, listening carefully to your body's final signals before rising to face the harsh day. This is conscious negotiation made with nature's overwhelming power surrounding your home. Your body's internal thermostat waits for outside threat to lessen slightly before giving you permission to finally move. This necessary flexibility feeds confidence and control feeling in your struggling mind. You manage your own body's rhythm and internal shelter against outside worlds, chaotic, freezing cold pressing down heavily. When moment to leave bed arrives, this isn't sleep's defeat, but rather survival's victory and new day beginning. With minimum energy loss achieved successfully, in that 1709 winter, your clothing isn't just simple covering for body, they're accumulated capital and survival tools, while also carrying mandatory layer of dirt accumulated over long winter months. Throughout winter, washing clothes becomes nearly impossible task you cannot accomplish here. Water freezes, making washing impractical entirely. Drying opportunity doesn't exist at all, and washed clothes instantly freeze solid, outside in bitter cold air waiting. So your clothes, especially wool layers, must remain dirty for weeks, even months, throughout entire winter season ahead. This dirtiness creates hygiene problems, obviously, but also provides unexpected interesting insulation, advantage you didn't anticipate initially here. Dirt, dust, sweat, and natural body oils accumulating on clothes, especially when combined with wool fibers' unique structure, create extra thermal barrier layer protecting wool's naturally crimped fibers. When filled with dirt and oil, trap air pockets more effectively, sealing them shut in the era's general conditions. Then this natural oiling slowed water's penetration into fabric, providing extra protection against slightly humid conditions surrounding you constantly. You sleep inside these heavy, slightly damp clothes every single night now. Your clothing's smell is heavy mixture of wool, sweat, and human body. This smell creates discomfort on one hand, but also gives you protected feeling on the other hand. Tonight, these dirty layers become your invisible armor against the freezing cold outside. This dirty layering philosophy contains its own hierarchy system within the structure. Outermost thickest wool layers are most exposed to dirt accumulation and thus provide best insulation properties for warmth. Inner thin linen layers touching skin are cleaned more frequently when possible, because these are vital for proper moisture management throughout day and night. If these inner layers get too wet or too dirty, they cool, rapidly threatening your entire thermal system. In the era's context back then, cleanliness luxury was completely secondary to vital warmth and energy conservation needs, washing and drying winter wool layer required enormous effort and also meant garment couldn't be used for several days, which represented unacceptable risk here. You lie under quilt feeling these dirty but warm layers surrounding you. Your body's radiated heat quickly trapped. Between these clothes accumulated dirt layers. This isn't aesthetic or comfort matter, it's pragmatic solution this harsh winter imposes on your survival strategy tonight. These heavy soiled wool and fabric layers are your faithful silent guardians, enabling you to survive 1709 winter. Each layer's weight reminds you constantly that you're safe, protected from death. In deep freezing cold of 1709, winter, your body's fat layer isn't just physical weight or appearance matter. It's your survival system's most important natural thermal protector surrounding you internally. This fat wraps you from inside, acting as living insulation layer working. Fat tissue, adipose tissue, naturally has very low thermal conductivity by nature. This means heat passes through this layer extremely slowly, protecting your core. Your body fat therefore is effective barrier protecting internal core temperature from bone-chilling, cold waiting outside walls. Your body creates buffer zone around vital organs, keeping them warm always. In the era's general conditions then, people were constantly and directly exposed to cold without modern heating systems. Body fat's thickness determined person's cold tolerance and winter endurance capacity critically. This fat layer doesn't just provide passive insulation against cold air outside, it also serves as vital energy depot against famine risk threatening everyone. During winter, limited food sources mean your body must use this internal fuel stored in fat tissue reserves. Fat is long-lasting, slow-burning energy source supporting metabolism's critical functions while keeping body's internal heating motor running constantly throughout the long night. You lie in bed feeling your body's natural armor serving you silently. Your body's slightly plump areas give you greater assurance of survival tonight. In the era's context back then, slight plumpness generally indicated wealth or at least adequate nutrition available consistently, and represented huge advantage during winter. For peasants caught between hunger and cold, body fat was true wealth. Throughout this winter, your body consciously continues storing fat whenever food available. This is evolutionary response. Your body knows it must prepare for hardest times by storing energy most efficiently, while sleeping when metabolism slows down. This stored fat activates, preventing the internal heating from dropping to dangerous levels. Your organic insulation protects you from outside cold as first and most fundamental shelter you possess against death. Quilts, wool and clothing's layers lock this internal heating inside your body. This fat doesn't just keep warm, it also supports your metabolic functions, giving you extra endurance and strength. This is most valuable and vital protector your body offers within 1709. Winter's merciless rules threatening your existence. You sleep securely inside this living armor, trusting it completely tonight here. Your and households gathering in one small room to sleep creates vital heat shield against 1709 winter's freezing cold, but this closeness brings silent, invisible threat, contagious disease risk spreading. Everyone sleeping tightly in cramped space means room's air is rapidly shared among all people breathing same air. Every single breath exchange, cough, or sneeze releases invisible particles and disease, agents into air surrounding everyone here. This crowded and airless environment creates ideal incubation area for these agents to transfer from one person to another, spreading illness quickly through household. In the era's general conditions then, lack of ventilation was necessary to prevent heat loss at all costs, but this increased disease concentration in room exponentially, making everyone more vulnerable. You lie in bed hearing person beside you cough lightly suddenly now. Your confidence feeling instantly transforms into fear of illness spreading to everyone. One person's small cold can potentially threaten entire households' health and survival. Illnesses like influenza, measles, or tuberculosis spread rapidly in such crowded, cold, damp environments, causing deadly outcomes often, weakened bodies and famines resulting low. Immunity made these diseases even more dangerous than they would be normally. This closeness is both thermal security and constant threat source simultaneously here. You lie in sleep's lightest layer, listening to your children's or elderly relatives' breathing sounds, carefully monitoring them. These sounds confirm they're alive while also increasing your worry when hearing wheezing breath, raising concern about illness. This situation creates constant vigilance state, preventing you from achieving deep restful sleep you desperately need for recovery. Disease spreading isn't just physical risk, it's also enormous economic risk threatening. Becoming sick in winter means consuming already limited food and wood resources faster while being unable to wake and work in morning hours ahead. This could break entire household survival, chain threatening everyone's existence together here. So you and family try sleeping without touching each other as much as possible despite sharing bed tonight. This is primitive infection control effort, but heating necessity overrides this completely, making such efforts limited in effectiveness. You sleep in this silent, smoky, crowded room feeling collective warmth's assurance, while simultaneously knowing invisible threat of contagious disease circulates around you constantly. This is inseparable part of your winter sleep's unavoidable dilemma you face. Room's walls protect you from cold, while simultaneously becoming prison for germs. This collective lifestyle is survival's necessary, but risky compromise you must accept. Just before falling asleep in 1709, winter's freezing cold you might take sip of strong alcohol to forget. This is common but risky practice. Alcohol creates instant effect on vascular system, giving you temporary and misleading warmth sensations spreading through your body. Alcohol works as powerful vasodilator substance, meaning it dilates blood vessels widely. This dilation causes blood to rush rapidly to your body's surface and skin's underlying capillary vessels near surface. You feel instant flushing and warming, sensation in your hands, face and feet spreading throughout your cold body. This temporarily suppresses your cold perception, creating instant relief feeling you welcome. In the era's general conditions then, people interpreted this effect as true. Warmth and sour alcohol as effective tool in fighting cold's brutal assault. But this warmth feeling is completely deceptive illusion, misleading your senses badly. Blood directed toward your body's surface loses heat much more easily to extremely cold outside air surrounding you. This means your body's internal core temperature actually begins dropping rapidly now. You feel warm while you're vital. Organs surrounding internal warmth reaches dangerously. Low levels threatening your survival tonight. Alcohol's another danger as it ruins sleep quality and dulls awakening reflexes. Alcohol can make you fall asleep. Faster initially, but this sleep is shallow and frequently interrupted throughout night. Even more importantly, alcohol weakens your body's natural defense mechanisms against cold. Normally when body begins dangerously cooling, shivering reflex would activate automatically now. This reflex wakes you and forces heat production through muscle movement immediately. Alcohol can suppress this vital alarm system, leaving you dangerously vulnerable tonight. You enter bed with alcohol's false drowsiness feeling, and this represents enormous risk to your survival through night. Your body cools from inside while you can't sense this happening clearly. In the era's context back then, this type of intoxicated freezing was common death cause, especially among poor and defenseless people lacking proper shelter. Alcohol offers you temporary escape, but makes you more defenseless against hypothermia, the most critical threat you face. You lie under quilt trying not to succumb to that false reassurance. Alcohol's relaxation feeling is tempting, but you know that false warmth becomes hidden enemy during sleep's vulnerable hours. This is internal struggle where reason and instinct oppose temporary comfort seeking. On this winter night, staying awake and shivering is safer choice than sleeping and freezing to death silently. In 1709, winter as alternative to warming pan or additional support you. Use more primitive but resilient heating methods available to poor households here. These are ceramic bottles filled with hot water or stones heated by hearth's fire radiating warmth all night. These traditions are practical applications of heat retention science learned through experience. These objects' selection is due to high thermal capacity they naturally possess. Ceramic and stone don't conduct heat quickly like metal materials do instead, but once heated they release this heat slowly and steadily into surroundings. This provides longer lasting and gentler heating than metal pans offer tonight. In the era's general conditions then, these objects were easily found at home and provided continuous reliable warmth. Heated stone's usage ritual requires great care and attention to prevent burns. Flat dense stones are selected carefully and placed under hearth's ash layer or beside embers to heat slowly. Stone mustn't overheat, causing burns or fire, so you must be careful. Before entering bed, stones are wrapped in thick fabric or old cloth. This wrapping serves two purposes simultaneously: preventing burns and making stones heat radiate longer and more gently outward. Hot water bottles usually consist of thick ceramic or clay pots available. These are filled with boiling water and mouths sealed tightly with cloth or cork stopper, preventing water escaping. Water's high heat capacity allows these objects to radiate significant warmth throughout entire night under quilt's warm layers. You place these warm, smooth objects under quilt at strategic body points, usually between your feet at lower back or beside stomach area strategically. Feet's coldness makes entire body feel cold, so warming foot area is critically important for thermal comfort tonight. In the era's context back then, these simple solutions showed how well people understood nature, science and materials properties instinctively through generations of experience. You lie in bed feeling this, slowly radiating warmth spreading gently outward. This heat relieves your body's burden of fighting cold, helping muscles relax. Stones or bottles' weight and warmth provide physical support, giving you secure nest feeling you desperately need tonight. After falling asleep, these objects' heat slowly decreases, but initial warmth and stable energy they created speeds your transition to deepest sleep stages needed. These traditions are proof of your determination and creativity in fighting cold. These simple but powerful heaters are your faithful thermal allies, enabling you to survive 1709 winter's harsh conditions. In one of 1709 winter's heaviest snowfall nights, you lie under quilt, outside world stripped of all sounds. You normally hear becoming deep absolute, silence enveloping everything around you completely. This silence comes from snow's extraordinary insulation power, muffling all sounds outside. When snowflakes fall to ground, they accumulate, leaving numerous tiny air pockets between individual snow crystals formed. This porous structure captures sound, creating vibration waves, absorbing and scattering them. Thick snow blanket outside has wrapped world like soundproof blanket, blocking noise. Distant sounds you normally hear, neighbors, noise, winds howling, all transformed into muffled whisper, barely audible now here. In the era's general conditions then, this type of silence was perceived as nature's tranquility and winter's depth, sign indicating cold season's firm grip. This is definite proof nature has fallen asleep for long winter ahead. This deep natural silence makes falling asleep easier for your tired body, but also creates sensory shift affecting perception of your immediate surroundings tonight. When outside sounds cease, your internal world sounds become more prominent, clear. Under quilt you hear your own, breathing more distinctly than before now. You feel your heart's heavy, steady, beating rhythm pulsing through your chest. You almost can hear your blood's slow circulation through veins and arteries. This is internal tranquility moment where you focus on your body's natural rhythm, connecting with life's basic processes. This intense silence also creates psychological effect on your resting mind tonight. Silence can increase loneliness feeling sometimes, but this winter night it gives you security and protection feeling instead. You know outside danger and chaos can't seep inside these protective walls. Snow has woven soft but powerful barrier between you and outside world. Sometimes in this absolute silence you try catching snow's almost inaudible sound of falling gently outside your window. This peaceful monotony redirects your mind away from outside world's chaos toward rest and relaxation it desperately needs. This acoustic insulation gives you enormous luxury rarely experienced in daily life. You're sleeping in nature's most silent moment, experiencing profound rest and peace. This is mental rest and emotional cleansing process, healing your troubled mind. After entire day's survival struggle, this silent shelter gives your brain permission to enter deep sleep it requires. This snow-brought tranquility is your winter sleep's most peaceful and protected aspect, giving you rare comfort tonight. You drift to sleep safely under this thick, sound-absorbing snow blanket. Despite snow's created deep silence during Night's darkest and coldest hours some. Distant sounds reach you faintly here. These are wild animal sounds calling, especially hungry wolf's long-haunting howl, or large animal moving through forest, making dry branches crack and snap. These sounds instantly raise your security, perception creating instinctive alert state within. These sounds indicate not just wild, nature's presence, but also that famine and outside hardship affect not just humans but all living creatures equally. In the era's general conditions then, winter was time when wild animals, lacking sufficient food, approached human settlements, more frequently seeking easy prey nearby. Their hunger represented direct threat to you and your vital livestock animals, both your personal safety and barns. Vitally important animals' security were endangered. You lie under quilt mentally mapping these howls' direction and distance carefully. This is primitive risk assessment process. The closer howling sounds, the more. You rely on your house's thick walls and doors bolt giving security. These sounds briefly wake you but also reinforce your survival instincts strongly. They remind you how valuable your warm shelter inside house truly is. Wolves' sound can also trigger a collective response from entire household waking up. Household member may wake to check, sounds silently rising from their place. This is duty of verifying security and ensuring doors are tightly locked. In the era's context back then, these sounds were perceived as serious, danger and sometimes village dogs howling. In response was part of common defense line protecting everyone gathered here. These warning sounds can make your deep sleep transition more difficult tonight. Corner of your mind stays in listening mode, continuously monitoring sounds outside. This is fight or flight response, remaining at sleep's boundary ready always. But ironically, these sounds also deepen. Inside security feeling you experience here, when your house's solid wooden door and small insulated window act as effective barrier against this outside threat. You feel safer, more protected inside. You lie curled tightly under quilt, listening to nature's merciless struggles sounds. These sounds remind you of inside, warmth's value and make you desire morning's arrival even more desperately now. This outside howling is part of your winter watch and will silently remain with you, drawing invisible boundary. Wall of security until morning arrives. In your bedroom, not just resting, and warmth items are stored carefully. In 1709, winter's small shelter farming. Tools are also stacked in corner. Hoe, sickle, sharp scythe or hardened. Shovel waiting for spring's return patiently. These tools aren't just farming symbols. They perform unexpected and vital function. During these harsh nights threatening everyone, first and most obvious function is emergency defense weapons if needed suddenly. In the era's general conditions then, winter brought increased theft and robbery. Risk along with famine's desperation growing. Hunger and desperation could push people to desperate actions threatening your safety. Like outside wolf sounds, these heavy, sharp tools piled behind door give you passive security feeling tonight here. You sleep feeling these metal and wood textures presence near you constantly. Their hard and solid presence offers protection assurance to your worried mind. These tools also play psychological role. They represent your faith in future. Sickle and hoe remind you spring will come, soil will be worked again, and famine will finally end. Their presence in room is daytime, labours and orders extension into night. In the era's context back then, these tools represented enormous investment and personal wealth accumulated over many years, keeping them safely inside where freezing and moisture can't damage the means, protecting resources carefully for future seasons. When you fall asleep, these tools, silence provides guarantee for your mind. They are not just tools, but rather family's survival capacity's indicator and proof. Keeping them near your bed allows quick access in any outside threat. Moment requiring immediate defensive action now. This is survival instinct's most basic, pragmatic manifestation protecting family and home. These winter dormant tools also contribute to room's heavy atmosphere you breathe. Dry soil on them and slight rust smell remind you of outside, world's tangible reality beyond these walls. You sleep among these silent witnesses of agriculture's cycle and labour's continuity. These metal and wood friends are part of your winter watch duty. They give you security and hope, while making you feel ready to fight even in sleep's most vulnerable moments throughout this threatening night ahead. You close your eyes with these silent guardians' presence, giving you slightly more security feeling than before now. These tools serve as your invisible protectors throughout 1709 winter's dark nights. Night's coldest moments usually arrive just before dawn breaks outside your window. At that time, one household member must wake from sleep to perform silent but vital duty for everyone, checking and reviving the dying fire. This task guarantees entire households' thermal security and smooth morning routine beginning. This duty usually falls to person with lightest sleep or oldest member, because their sleep is already more interrupted, making waking less disturbing for them than younger people sleeping deeply. You wake slightly, hearing tiny crackling, sounds coming from hearth's direction, or silence telling you what's happening there. Embers hidden under ash layers' redness indicates how urgently intervention is needed. You approach hearth silently and carefully, each step measured and deliberate, avoiding noise that might wake others sleeping. You might keep blankets part draped over shoulders to minimize heat loss. Your task requires fine balance and skill learned through years of practice. Adding too much wood means wasteful. Burning and uncontrolled large flames can't sustain burning throughout remaining night hours. Adding nothing means embers completely dying, and morning requiring starting fire from zero with enormous effort and delay. In the era's general conditions then, keeping fire alive was first priority. Fire wasn't just heat source, but also served cooking water, melting and culturally keeping evil spirits away, believed. You gently push ash layer aside, seeing small precious red dots still glowing underneath, giving you hope now. This is a victory moment worth celebrating. You add very thin dry kindling, pieces or fine wood shavings carefully, then slowly, deliberately blow air onto embers with your mouth gently coaxing. This breath carries not just oxygen, but also your body's warm air, helping gently revive fire back to life from near death state tonight. When you see hearth beginning to flare up again, you place small, tight log or several dense charcoal pieces on top of growing flames. This new fuel won't flare brightly, but will slowly absorb heat, becoming embers maintaining warmth until morning arrives. This is first step of new thermal energy that will last until Dawn finally breaks outside your walls. When your task is finished, you warm hands over this slightly increasing, heat feeling accomplishment and relief flooding. You silently return to your bed. Slipping back under quilt, you listen to hearth strengthening sounds, soft crackling. These sounds confirm to you're worried. Mind you can sleep safely and warmly for few more precious hours. This night duty is vital responsibility, enabling your and family's survival through 1709, winter's brutal, unforgiving cold nights. Your silent labour allows others to continue resting peacefully through remaining darkness. In 1709, winter's freezing nights, your sleep can sometimes transform into frightening. Experience beyond normal rest and recovery. Extreme cold slows your body's blood circulation and restricts muscles, causing sleep paralysis-like conditions to occur more frequently than normal sleep patterns allow. This situation usually happens at sleep's lightest threshold or during waking moment. You realize your consciousness is partially present, but you cannot move body. Your eyes might open slightly, seeing room dimly, but you cannot move arms or legs at all now. This instant sharp helplessness feeling is winter night's biggest psychological threats faced. This condition isn't caused just by sleep cycles, REM sleep, natural transition disorder, but physical factors also play major role in creating this paralysis. Extreme cold forces your body's blood circulation from periphery, meaning limbs, toward center, protecting vital organs from freezing. If you slept with one limb pressed under body weight or touching cold surface for extended time, that area's blood flow and nerve communication is severely disrupted, causing temporary paralysis. Your body under cold shock struggles when brain tries sending movement commands to muscles that can't respond properly. In the era's general conditions then, these situations were usually interpreted as evil spirits, night attacks, or disease. Fairies work causing this strange paralysis. People couldn't explain this paralysis feeling, so they associated it with supernatural powers, making experience even more frightening. This belief made experience much more terrifying than it actually was naturally. You lie under quilt in body that refuses to move, feeling enormous weight pressing down on your chest. To escape this condition, you must stay calm and focus on moving small muscle like fingertip or tongue. This tiny movement is key to breaking nerve systems lock holding you. After few moments of panic and helplessness, you finally throw off that heavy pressure with large gasp and quickly sit upright in your bed. This brief paralysis moment serves as warning, keeping you from deep sleep. Cold doesn't just attack from outside, it also tries seizing your bodies control during sleep's most vulnerable moments. After escaping this condition, you stay awake a while, changing your position carefully, reactivating blood circulation and confirming your safety before attempting sleep again tonight. This challenging experience is part of your winter watch, reminding you that even deepest sleep isn't luxury. This winter allows you to enjoy freely the 1709 winter's intense cold loads your mind, not just with physical burden but also existential fear weighing down on your struggling consciousness constantly. Lying under quilt, death fear isn't abstract thought but heavy concrete reality. Everyone knows this winter will claim many lives before spring finally arrives. This inevitable death reality prevents you from falling into deep restful sleep, creating mental barrier keeping you alert. Your body might be exhausted, but consciousness remains constantly vigilant and tense. In the era's general context back, then winter months had highest death rates throughout the entire calendar year. Cold, hunger and disease combining together consumed fragile bodies rapidly without mercy. Every cough, every shiver, every sleep. Interruption is concrete reflection of this. Fear pressing down on your mind, you lie in bed listening to. Outside silence, and within that silence, you feel your own fragility clearly. Your thoughts spin out of control around one question: will I wake tomorrow morning or freeze tonight silently? This anxiety makes you cling to sleep's lightest layer, unable to relax. Your body perceives sleep not as relaxation but as risk to avoid, because sleeping means surrendering control completely. This fear affects your dreaming patterns, as mentioned in earlier sections. Freezing and paralysis themes are direct reflections of this existential threat looming over. In your dreams you might feel rapidly spreading cold or breathing difficulty. During waking moments you might feel rooms surrounding darkness and cold trying to swallow you whole completely tonight. This psychological warfare makes you curl tighter and seek more warmth desperately. Holding household members tighter is instinctive. Action, lightening, loneliness, fear, and death. Threat pressing down on everyone here. Hearing their breathing sounds provides proof that life continues despite cold's assault. Your sleep becomes deep mental training, process, where this fear and helplessness are constantly processed by struggling mind. This situation transforms sleep from luxury into battlefield where survival is fought. But despite everything, small hope always remains that morning will surely come. This hope is final resistance point, convincing you to surrender to sleep's weight despite fear gripping your heart. Among these heavy dark thoughts, you still allow your eyelids to grow, heavy accepting their natural closing rhythm, because rest is absolutely necessary tonight. Surviving this winter requires both physical and mental strength working together always. You sleep under death fear's shadow, accepting rest's vital necessity despite terror. Night's coldest, darkest and longest moments finally end as 1709 winter's heavy. Darkness begins yielding to first signs. Sun's first pale rays start seeping through room's small insulated window slowly. This moment represents for you not alarm, but rather great victory's declaration. This light isn't just visual signal, but also biological and thermal stimulant. Dim sunlight reaching your eyes rapidly triggers your brain's circadian rhythm mechanism. Your body's melatonin sleep hormone production slows while cortisol wakefulness hormone secretion increases, preparing you for day ahead. This internal chemical change makes you transition to sleep's lightest layer and wake rapidly from deep unconsciousness now. In the era's general conditions then, winter daylight was scarce and precious, so sun's presence was vital energy. Sources and daytime labor's definite confirmation. Sun's rays target even room's coldest, corners beginning to slowly affect frozen, air lingering there throughout long night. Although these rays don't provide instant Warming, they create mental warmth increase. This illumination disperses darkness brought fear, and uncertainty replacing them with new. Day's promise and hope returning again. You lie under quilt feeling this, pale but certain light's presence, and rapidly become motivated to start moving. You hasten your decision to leave. Bed knowing sun's rising makes hearths, revival and ices melting much easier. Now is time to exit energy, conservation mode, and begin day's demanding. Tasks waiting for your attention outside, each morning waking up in this. Winter means winning one more nights. Survival battle against freezing death threat. Sun's first light is this victory's. Symbol shining down on your survival. You take deep breath feeling tired, but alive, ready to face challenges. In the era's context back then, sunlight wasn't just physical phenomenon, but also divine grace and evil's retreat, believed by everyone living through winter. Witnessing morning's first light confirmed family was safe and hardship was only temporary obstacle to be overcome soon. You throw quilt off experiencing that first cold shock wave hitting hard, but your mind is now ready. This awakening effect pulls you from lingering comfort, preparing you to confront winter's merciless realities waiting outside bed. This is your 1709 Winter's Daily. Beginning's indispensable and sacred moment arriving. You survived another night of winter. Now you face another day ahead. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well tonight. You made it through 1709 winter, at least in your imagination here. Rest easy in your warm bed, knowing you have heating and safety. Tomorrow brings new day and hope. Close your eyes and drift away into peaceful sleep you've earned tonight. Thank you for joining this journey. Through history's coldest, darkest winter night, may your dreams be warm safe. Before you fully surrender to sleep, let me share some final thoughts about what you've experienced here tonight. You travelled back through 3 centuries to feel cold that claimed lives, to understand what survival truly meant, when nature itself became the enemy. Every breath calculated, every movement measured. The people of 1709 winter weren't just enduring cold, they were fighting death itself every single freezing night. Their bedroom wasn't retreat from world, it was fortress against certain doom. Their blanket wasn't comfort, it was armor woven from animal fibers carefully. Their sleep wasn't rest, it was strategic battle fought in shifts always. Each waking throughout night was checkpoint, confirming they hadn't crossed into death. Every morning light was victory celebration, against odds stacked impossibly high above. Think about what you take for granted in your comfortable modern bed. Central heating keeping constant perfect temperature, clean water flowing from tap instantly, soft mattress supporting your tired body, medical care available if illness strikes, food stored safely in refrigerator nearby. These aren't just conveniences, they're miracles that separate you from that frozen hell of 1709 winter experience tonight. Those people possessed something we've partly lost in our comfortable modern lives: deep appreciation for warmth's absolute value, understanding of survival's true cost daily, respect for nature's overwhelming power always, and unbreakable will to see morning. They knew every sunset could be last they'd ever witness in life, yet they prepared their fires carefully, layered their clothing with practiced precision, gathered their families close for warmth, and trusted dawn would come again. Their resilience wasn't heroic or extraordinary. It was simply what survival demanded. From ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances, every person sleeping in that frozen. Europe was hero by modern standards, simply for waking up each morning. The child who survived that winter grew up knowing cold's true meaning. The mother who kept family alive became legend in her own time. The father who managed fuel supplies was mathematician calculating life and death. These weren't stories of adventure seeking, but quiet, desperate determination to continue, living when everything conspired against survival. As you lie in your bed, tonight, feeling your blanket's comforting weight, remember those who fought for warmth, who shared body heat with family, who rationed every log of wood, who wore dirty clothes for insulation, who held toilet needs till morning, who woke repeatedly checking for frostbite, who ate heavy meals for warmth, who feared every cough meant death. This isn't meant to make you feel guilty for your modern comfort, but rather to help you appreciate the incredible journey humanity has taken from those desperate freezing nights to your climate-controlled bedroom of today. Every technological advance, every medical breakthrough, every improvement in housing and heating represents countless lives saved from that brutal fate our ancestors faced nightly. The heating system humming in your home right now is miracle they couldn't even imagine in wildest dreams. The clean, warm bed you're in would seem like paradise to them. Your ability to adjust temperature with single button press would seem like magic from another world entirely here. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep in safety and warmth, remember, you're heir to those survivors' strength. Their determination flows through your veins. Their will to survive lives on in you, sleeping peacefully here tonight. They endured unimaginable hardship so generations could live better lives than theirs. They fought nature's cruelty so children could sleep without fear of freezing. They preserved knowledge through dark times so we could build better world. Honor their memory by appreciating what you have, by not taking comfort for granted, by remembering sometimes that life itself is precious gift earned through countless ancestors' struggles and sacrifices. The warmth you feel tonight wasn't free, it was purchased with suffering of millions who came before you. Close your eyes now and sleep, deeply knowing you're safe and protected. Let your breathing slow and steady. Let your muscles relax completely now. Let your mind release all tension. You don't need to fight for survival tonight like they did then. You don't need to wake checking temperature or adjusting dying fire embers. You don't need to hold loved ones tight for shared body heat. You can simply rest peacefully knowing tomorrow will come without question or doubt about your survival through night. This is gift those ancestors gave you through their endurance and sacrifice. Sleep well in their honor tonight. Dream peacefully in the warmth they could only imagine in their fantasies. And when you wake tomorrow morning, take a moment to feel gratitude for simple act of being warm, comfortable. Thank you for taking this journey through one of history's darkest winters. Thank you for lying in your bed, imagining what they endured back then. Thank you for feeling even fraction of cold that defined their existence. This wasn't just history lesson tonight, it was empathy, exercise connecting you to people 3 centuries past who were fundamentally same as you are. They loved their families just deeply. They feared death just as intensely. They hoped for better tomorrow always. They treasured warmth with every fibre. The only difference between you and them is accident of birth timing. You were lucky enough to be born in era of central heating, born in time of medical knowledge, born in age of abundant resources. They weren't less capable or intelligent. They simply faced challenges we've thankfully overcome through collective human progress advancing. Every person who studies history carries responsibility to remember and honour those who suffered so we could prosper. Every person who enjoys modern comfort should occasionally reflect on how recently these comforts became available to humanity. Just 10 generations ago, your ancestors might have lived through similar winter. Just few family trees back someone in your lineage faced these conditions. This isn't distant abstract history lesson. This is your family's story too. The fact that you exist today means your ancestors survived every winter, every famine, every plague that came. One broken chain, one frozen night, one moment of giving up early, and you wouldn't be here tonight. You are product of unbroken line, of survivors stretching back through millennia. Each one faced their era's challenges. Each one chose to keep fighting. Each one passed life forward to next generation despite hardships they faced. That determination lives within you now. That survivor's instinct is your inheritance. That refusal to surrender runs through your veins as surely as blood. When you face your own challenges, remember you come from people who survived the impossible repeatedly throughout history. When life feels difficult or overwhelming, remember your ancestors faced literal freezing, death every single night and persevered. When you feel weak or inadequate, remember you carry DNA of people who conquered nature's worst punishments successfully. You are stronger than you know because they were stronger than imaginable. Their strength echoes forward through time, landing in your heart right now. As you prepare for sleep tonight, think about how you'll use this gift of comfort and safety wisely. Think about how you'll honour their memory through your own life's choices. Think about what you'll do with security they never knew but fought to give their descendants like you. Will you waste this gift taking everything for granted without appreciation shown? Or will you live with gratitude for every warm meal, every comfortable night, every moment of security enjoyed? Will you use your advantages selfishly, or will you help others who still struggle with poverty and hardship? Will you forget this lesson tomorrow, or will you carry it forward into your daily life with purpose? The choice is yours to make, but make it consciously and deliberately, because you owe them that much. Sleep well knowing their sacrifice matters. Sleep deeply honouring their memory tonight. Now let your mind slowly return from that frozen past to present. Let the images of 1709 fade like morning mist burning off gradually. Feel your actual bed beneath you. Feel your actual blanket's comforting warmth. Feel the air in your room. Notice how different it feels now. You're not in danger of freezing. You're not rationing your fuel supply. You're not sharing body heat desperately. You're not holding bathroom needs painfully. You're simply lying in comfortable, safe bed in 21st century comfort. The heater hums quietly, protecting you. The walls stand strong and insulated. The windows keep cold firmly outside. The door seals tightly against drafts. Everything works exactly as it should. You are safe, warm and protected. Take a moment to appreciate this. Really feel the gratitude you should for this ordinary, extraordinary miracle of modern life we take for granted. Your fingers aren't going numb tonight. Your toes aren't at risk freezing. Your breath doesn't turn to ice. Your skin isn't turning blue slowly. You will wake up tomorrow guaranteed, not because you fought for survival, but because you live in time when such fighting is unnecessary here. Let this knowledge bring you peace. Let this certainty help you relax. Let this security allow deep sleep. You've earned rest through this journey. You've walked in their frozen footsteps. You've felt shadow of their fear. You've understood price they paid daily. Now return to your own comfort, knowing you've honoured their memory tonight, knowing you've learned their valuable lesson, knowing you won't forget quite too easily what warmth truly means always. As your breathing slows and deepens, as your body relaxes into mattress, as your mind quiets and settles, think one last time about them. Send them gratitude across the centuries. Thank them for their incredible resilience. Thank them for not giving up. Thank them for pushing through horror. Because without their determination and survival, you wouldn't exist to hear this. Every breath you take tonight is gift they gave you by enduring. Every comfortable moment you experience is reward for their suffering and sacrifice. Every peaceful sleep you enjoy is victory they won on your behalf. They are gone now, long departed. Their names mostly forgotten by history. Their individual stories lost to time, but their legacy lives in you. You are proof they succeeded ultimately. You are evidence their struggle mattered. You are testament to human resilience. You are their immortality made manifest. So honor them by sleeping well. Honor them by appreciating your life. Honor them by not wasting this. Gift purchased at such no terrible cost. Close your eyes and rest now. Let sleep take you gently down into dreams that are warm, safe, into rest that is deep, peaceful. Let your mind drift wherever it wants to go now without control. Let images float by without attaching. Let thoughts come and go naturally. You don't need to hold on to anything at all in this moment. Everything can be released and forgotten until morning brings new day forward. The story of 1709 is finished. The history lesson is complete now. The journey through time is ended. You've returned home to present moment, and present moment ask nothing of. You accept to simply exist here. Simply breathe, simply rest, simply be. Simply allow sleep to come naturally. Your body knows what to do. Your body has done this before thousands of times throughout your life. Your body is expert at sleeping, so trust your body's ancient wisdom. Trust the process that's beginning now. Trust that you're safe and protected. Trust that morning will surely come. The temperature in your room is perfect for sleeping comfortably through night. The sounds around you are familiar, safe, indicating no danger exists nearby. The darkness is friendly and welcoming, inviting you to close your eyes, inviting you to stop monitoring surroundings, inviting you to surrender to sleep. There's nothing to fear in darkness, nothing to guard against vigilantly tonight, nothing requiring your attention or awareness. Everything is taken care of already. Your home's heating system maintains warmth. Your home's structure provides solid shelter. Your home's security keeps danger outside. You are completely safe right now. Safer than humans have been for most of our species' long history. Safer than your ancestors could dream of being in their frozen world. This safety is a gift you possess every single night without even thinking about it or appreciating it fully. Tonight, you've remembered to feel grateful for this ordinary miracle of safety, for this simple blessing of warmth, for this basic comfort of security that so many lacked for millennia. Hold that gratitude as you drift deeper into sleep's welcoming embrace now. Let gratitude be last conscious thought before unconsciousness claims you completely here. Gratitude for ancestors who survived horror. Gratitude for progress humanity has made. Gratitude for moment you're living in. Gratitude for bed beneath your body. Gratitude for blanket covering you warmly. Gratitude for roof above your head. Gratitude for tomorrow that awaits you. Gratitude for life itself continuing forward. With this gratitude filling your heart, you can truly rest in peace. Not peace of death, but rather peace of life lived with awareness. Peace of knowing you're blessed beyond measure compared to most humans who ever walked this earth before you. Peace of understanding how precious this moment truly is despite seeming ordinary. Peace of accepting gift you've received through no merit of your own, simply lucky accident of where you were born into this world. Carry forward what you learned tonight. Sleep well in warmth and safety. Dream peacefully knowing you are blessed. Good night, dear friend. Sleep deeply. You survived the journey through time. Now rest in your comfortable present, where warmth and safety surround you. Good night.